Welcome to episode 786 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm going to be talking about the paranormal researcher Hans Holzer. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen to the show, and ways to support the show at the podcast website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. Also, side note, as far as the support goes, over the weekend I was able to set up a few more things in the merchandise store. We now have an apron with a new design on it, as well as a shirt with the same design on it. Sort of inspired by the trick or treat shows that we do for the Patreon feed. We have also I made they have these bags. They're called sling bags. They basically go over like one shoulder, as far as I can tell. And I have the logo of the show, the one with the forest behind it. That image on those. So just a few more things, a few more options. If you like to support the show and want to have something that you can use. So, but also please check out all the links in the episode description for all the friends of the show. Jen, the Arcane Observer, the co-host of the podcast here, her channel, as well as Michael Strange and Trouble Minds Radio, the show, as well as Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear my show and many other amazing shows 24/7. And so I think that covers everything. So I decided a while back I wanted to just cover a few major figures in the paranormal and or supernatural and or anomalous research kind of world that I've read books from over the years. Now a lot of these people, their work is still fairly recent. It's not it's still in copyright. And nice. So Michael Strange says more love coming to the network soon, working on some AI enhancements. There we go. And so I wanted to cover some people that I've read some books from them, and they were amazing books, but there's just too many books from all these people to even try to review them all. And so what I thought I would do instead is just give brief overviews of these people and their work, as far mainly focusing on their work, because that's what we're really here for. And the first person I wanted to cover here, and this is also besides not counting Charles Fort, because we're doing a whole huge series on his books. But the first person I wanted to cover was Hans Holzer. He had an amazing way of doing paranormal investigations where he didn't bring, and of course this was further back in time here, he didn't focus on bringing all kinds of electronics or devices to detect paranormal activity. He went with people that were had abilities, psychic, mediumistic abilities, and then of course he brought audio recorders and took notes. And this is how he did his investigations whenever he could. So and he has over 100 books out. I would definitely recommend checking out his books. The one that I found on Audible that I really liked was just a compilation of just several of his cases, and it's I think it's called Where the Ghosts Are. It's just a whole book of case by case by case that he worked on over the years. But let me get to my my write up here I have, and just we'll go over some points here. So Hans Holzer, according to what I was able to find online, was born in 1920 and passed away in 2009. He was a he was also he really helped get the whole parapsychology field going more than it already was. He was an author and one of the most influential paranormal researchers of the 20th century. Um, so he wrote several books, and but they were all across all different subjects, not just on paranormal investigations, but the occult, again, supernatural, but also witchcraft and the afterlife. And he's a lot of people think of him as America's first ghost hunter. He helped popularize the field through books, television, and public appearances. He started. He was inspired to look into all these things by um, stories he heard from family um, that told him about experiences they had and others that they knew that others had had. And so he, of course, he in just before World War II, he fled Austria. He fled that part of the world due to everything that was going to be happening with World War II, and he eventually moved to New York and studied at at Columbia University. He earned degrees in comparative religion and parapsychology, which really, if you want to look at the whole history of human beliefs and that help shape religion, there's a lot of connections, possible connections between that and then the whole paranormal world. He also taught parapsychology for a while, apparently at the New York Institute of Technology, and hosted the TV show Ghost Hunter. So again, this is way before anything that we know of now as modern paranormal investigation shows. He, of course, he investigated the Amityville Horror House, which you've covered before. Jen and I have covered before, and he worked with mediums, and this was how he preferred to do his work, where he would get someone who could make contact with whoever was at a location, whatever non-physical beings were at a location, and communicate with them through these mediums and trance mediums, and basically to communicate with them. And his belief, and again, this is his, not necessarily mine exactly, but he thought that ghosts were emotional memories of those who passed or who died traumatically and were unaware of their own death. I do believe that that sometimes that can happen. I don't know if it's just purely the emotional energy of the person that passed. I guess it's sort of splitting hairs there in a way. But I do think that sometimes people do not realize after they pass, especially again, and I think that's possible as well, where their death was so traumatic they don't realize that they passed on. But I don't know if that's all of their consciousness or part of it. It seems like in some cases it could be part, but then others, I don't know. It seems like there's just so much intelligent interaction that it's hard for me to think that it's not the entire person. Their thoughts, their everything about them except for their physical form. But anyway, and of course he inspired popular culture. Notably, it says inspiring. He was part of the inspiration for Dan Aykroyd's creation of Ghostbusters, the movie. Which of course, those movies are amazing. They're amazing movies. Sort of how I think of a lot of popular culture today, the movies today and TV shows today. They were amazing movies, hilarious movies, but not so accurate in terms of the funny. I talked about this quite a while ago with Michael Strange in a chat. How maybe it was in just the regular Troubled Minds server. I forget now. But we were talking about how amazing Ghostbusters 1 and 2 were, because those are the two I've seen. I haven't really seen any of the most recent ones. But and how amazing they were, but also how crazy they were in that they took the paranormal, or the idea of ghosts and spirits, to extremes, in that they all seem to give off this slime or this ooze or this ectoplasm stuff, basically, that was just everywhere, especially, of course, with the character Slimer, all these things. And I pointed out that, I mean, I can't even remember the last time I ever heard of an account of that happening to anywhere near the degree it does in those movies. So they're not realistic in that way, but still, they are amazing movies. And so looking at yes, there we go. Sweet's put in the chat here. Where the ghosts are. The ultimate guide to haunted houses. So yeah, it's an amazing book, and it's a good long read. Listen, if you listen the way I do, and I still go back to it once in a while. I've listened to it a couple of times over the years, because there's just so many cases in there. And but so yeah, he helped inspire Ghostbusters, and also he contributed quite a bit to the study and public understanding of witchcraft, Wicca, and other occult practices through his writing. And again, he wrote over 100 books, so it's quite a bit. He so not only did he write and investigate, but he of course was influential in helping to develop the whole field, or the whole idea of ideas of ghost hunting, paranormal research, and also just putting that out there in the entertainment sphere, the media, and all these things. So really is amazing how much he's done. And yeah, I just really recommend his books. He has so many of them. So let me just see here. I have a couple articles here, and they'll probably cover a lot of what I just said. But we will. Let's see here. Just need to try something here. We'll just go over the things and point out more things as we go here. And so this article here, I can include this in the episode description, is from All That's Interesting. And this article, the title is The Paranormal Life of Hans Holzer, America's First Ghost Hunter. So, again, Hans Holzer, he was inspiration for Ghostbusters, as well as his work in the Amityville Horror. And this All That's Interesting article, I'll include it in the episode description, talks about how Holzer was a parapsychologist. This is and we may need to do a whole show on this as well, the whole idea of parapsychology, because it is a form of, I think, a way to describe paranormal activity. But from what I've read, and I could be wrong on this, we'll find out if we do a show on this, is that the idea behind parapsychology is this is all having to do a lot with the powers of the human mind and what it can do outside of the body, but also includes studying telepathy, hypnosis, and so. But a lot of these things are having to do with the human mind, whether it is in the body still or not. And he went around the world really to investigate claims of paranormal activity in places. And so when he checked out the place, the Amityville Horror House there, he allegedly came across the spirit of a Native American. This is where things always get tricky because these things, they really do depend. How much of them are true or not, or accurate or not, depends on who you talk to. And this is part of why I'm very careful about ever saying I believe in everything this person says. I think everything this person says is completely accurate. I don't like to do that because I don't think we can know that, and no one is perfect. But Hans Holzer claimed that the spirit of a Native American chief who was apparently there at the house, and the spirit explained that the home was cursed. Now, from what I've read and heard, there's people from that area, from the tribe that Holzer claims to have contacted a spirit from, and they said that that tribe did not live in that area exactly. They were further away. So this has sort of put some doubt in the minds of a lot of people about the accuracy of this reading that Holzer and the medium that he worked with supposedly contacted. So, but as always, you're going to have, again, things that don't always seem to add up. But then, again, like I always say, who knows for sure? Because when we're talking with other entities that do not have physical forms, it's hard to verify things. So, this article goes into Hans Holzer's early years and first forays into ghost hunting. So he was born in Vienna, Austria, and so he when he was in kindergarten, his teacher sent a note home saying that he was scaring the other children with stories about ghosts and fairies that he'd learned from his uncle, which is just it's terrible for the kids, but also that's just amazing. I feel like if I would have been into this topic that young, I may have ended up doing the same thing. And it reminds me of how now when I'm in other groups online, other like non-paranormal stream chats, sometimes I have to be careful with how deep I end up going into topics. If there's any kind of connection in a game that someone is playing or someone is talking about to the paranormal, I have to stop myself from going into all kinds of detail about things. And I've done it a few times where people are like, the chat goes completely quiet and no one comments for a while, and I realize, oh, they're not interested, and maybe they're even getting a little freaked out. I guess I should stop now. So, I've noticed that I can imagine that happening with me if I had been interested in this as a kid. But so going back to this article here, he did Holzer did go to or enrolled in the University of Vienna for a short time in the 1930s, but then and where he studied history and archaeology and other things. But of course, then just before World War II started, again, like you said, he and his family, who were Jewish, fled to New York. So, which is understandable. So there, he began studying at Columbia University, and he got his master's degree in comparative religion and his doctorate in parapsychology. So from the London College of Applied Science. And so then from there, he started teaching parapsychology at the New York Institute of Technology. By the 1960s, he had started investigating reported hauntings in the New York City area. And not long after that is when he published his first book, Ghost Hunter. And so he kept on going from there. So he just kept on writing the rest of his life. And So yeah, it talks here in this article about more about the Amityville investigations that he did, and he described defined ghosts as a surviving emotional memory of someone who has died traumatically and usually tragically, but is unaware of their death. So again, that's an amazing distinction there. I really wonder about that, how accurate that is. Uh, it's, I guess, emotions can generate energy. I never thought of emotions necessarily being energy. I don't know if that's really amazing to try to break down these ideas to that level to me, because I have no idea. But so yeah, this article is pretty good. It goes again into a lot more than we have time to cover here. He worked with various people over the years, mediums, and part of that was to sort of investigate that whole phenomenon as well, and to get independent verification in cases of events, so that no one could say that just this one person was faking everything. I believe is probably be the idea there. In other words, if you have all these people that are getting all this information that seems to be accurate, and he would do that, he would get information through these mediums and communicate with whoever is there, and then find out after the fact that some of the things that were mentioned were accurate regarding the lives of the people that lived there or were there and possibly died in these locations or around these locations. And these are things that he wouldn't know going into the whole investigation, or sometimes he would, but he wouldn't share the information with the medium or anyone else. So there's again, I would definitely recommend that, Where the Ghosts Are, but also he has over 100 books. So if you look up just his name in general, you can find plenty to read and listen to. And of course now these days, his daughter has taken up the whole paranormal investigation field. Alexandra Holzer, who there's a whole TV show now, or was at least for a while. I'm not sure if it's still around. Called The Holzer Files, which is inspired by his work and the cases that he investigated. So, anyway, this is not by any means a complete breakdown of um, all of Hans Holzer's work, but just wanted to give an overview, and I will post the article that I talked about here, and there's another article as well that you all can check out. I'll post those in this description, and so that covers Hans Holzer. I will be doing a show at some point on John Keel as well as Jacques Vallée and their work, because those are another two people that wrote a lot of books on all kinds of anomalous topics. So, and we may, if I find more people that I'm interested in, I get interested in, then we'll do more of those shows as well. More sort of basic summaries of their work as well. So, the problem is with so many books, there's still so many books that have not been converted to audiobook yet. So this is why I can't just easily go through and check out the entire library of any given researcher. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.